A new era dawns to fill the void. An unfamiliar path with a pulse of its own.
3, 2, 1.
Final Encounter Cast. Interesting conflicts, not conflicts of interest.
Typical corporate bullshit.
With your hosts, Nate, Robbie, Chris, Nika, and Callie. FinalEncounterCast.com.
Ready? Get set? Go!
What's up? Welcome to Final Encounter Cast. Thanks for joining us today. Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio starting at 1 p.m. Robbie, your camera is just so jacked.
I see that.
Oh my God, dark cam.
I know.
I think it might be time to just get a new one.
Silent Hill cam is back. It might actually.
Shit cam.
Yeah.
Shit can, the shit cam.
Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. FinalEncounterCast.com is the website. I want to thank you for being along today on this Mother's Day. For those of you joining us live.
Oh shit!
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think you've got a phone call to make, maybe in between.
In between shows? Yeah, I think I do.
Do you have a mom?
I do.
Oh, I wasn't sure if maybe you were just like grown in a lab because it would explain a lot of things.
That's charming.
But even
oh my
if that's
God.
true, someone would be biological mother.
Yeah, that.
Not if he was
Somewhere.
grown in a lab.
All right, this is
But
not
you
important.
need to
I do
have
have a
an egg
mom.
from somewhere.
Happy Brood Mother's Day. How about that?
Anyway, welcome into Final Encounter Cast. Again, FinalEncounterCast.com. If you're listening on the podcast and you want to join us live, we do the show each and every Sunday starting at 1 p.m. here on Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. We invite you to join us for that. And if you do, you can call the show live. We always invite your calls. And you can do that by sending a Skype message over to Final Encountercast or 810-207-1764 if you're calling in on a regular phone. We are available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. So if you're catching us live and you want to subscribe to the podcast, those are just a couple of the ways that you can do that. And also be sure, if you like the show and you listen to us a lot,
Contact a professional.
then we are done by your support over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. I want to thank everyone who is already a Patreon donor, and
It's like 181 of you.
100. That's exactly where we're at, Callie. That's exactly right. 181 patrons for $1,768. Now, something that I want to talk about real quick here before we continue is that this show, as we mentioned, is done by your support over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. And we want to thank everyone who does support the show. But I want to point something out, because Patreon has become a now pretty popular way to support yourself, especially now that we're starting to see things like YouTube ad revenue dry up. People are looking for all sorts of different ways to be able to fund their business model. And, no disrespect to any of them, but I have noticed a big trend of people, especially when they get successful patrons, where they decide to lock their content behind the paywall and make sure that their primary content is only, or at least for a certain period of time, available exclusively to their patrons. And I just want to point out that we have never done that. We do, we set up a camera before the show to record green room videos, which are small discussions that happen before the show. They used to be after, and it's taken some work dialing that in. Those of you who have watched those before know that not all of them have been the most entertaining things, but
some are great, some aren't.
It's true, but
Most aren't.
The thing is that we look for additional ways outside of our main products to be able to give you guys over through the Patreon, and that the majority of what you guys support is done right here, either live on the show or done for the podcast each and every single week. And the fact that the podcast is on time, the fact that the podcast is weekly, the fact that the show is each and every single week, that is done through your support over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. So again, thank you to those who have already given. And if you haven't yet, please consider going over and giving just whatever you can support a month to patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. You'll get access to exclusive content. We've got Limit Break Radio swag. We'll get some Final Encountercast swag eventually attached to it, so you guys will have some choices for those.
Don't they also get they get access to Checkpoint episodes too now, don't they?
Yeah, we are sending Chris, you're still sending those out, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. So yeah, you will get access to those, even though they are now available on demand over at checkpointradio.com. Those go up, I want to say, like Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and even though they're full episodes and available on demand over at the website, they do have a noticeable quality hit, like they are streaming sized episodes. So they're broken up into hour 1 and hour 2. And if you want that full high quality MP3, one of the only ways that you can get access to that is over through patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. Speaking of Checkpoint, do we want to save our really big announcement till the end of the show? Do we want to talk about that now?
I mean, there's going to be parts in the news that are going to deal with it, so maybe we want to talk about it now.
I think maybe we should, because I think if
I also want to be a dick and make them wait.
I know, but I mean, if
Robbie does love
He
being
does not
dick.
be a dick for one day.
No,
Have you met him?
Blasphemy.
I mean,
I try, guys.
What's in the news that references it?
I mean, a couple of things. I don't know. Okay, so checkpointradio.com, that is the new show that we have been working on, our nationally syndicated radio show. By the way, I want to welcome in Houston this week, Houston joining the Checkpoint Radio family of cities that are broadcasting Checkpoint Radio. That's awesome. That's a huge city. That's a lot of ears. And we've also got the podcast. So I want to thank everyone that's checked out the podcast. You can find episodes of those over on the LVR podcast feed, as well as all of our other feeds as sort of like a special feature for a little bit, which, by the way, those episodes will be removed at some point. So please, we encourage you to go find the Checkpoint Radio podcast on iTunes or Google Podcasts, whatever the hell they're calling their service now. But go find it and leave a review. If you don't have anything to say, even a 1 through 5 star review is helpful. But leave a review and let us know how we're doing with Checkpoint Radio. So we're now 2 episodes deep into the Checkpoint Radio podcast. Episode number 3 will be this week, and one of the changes that we're going to be making on the Checkpoint Radio podcast is it's going to serve as a reflection of what we just talked about that week on Limit Break Radio. So if you want an insight to some of the conversations that we're going to be having, we're going to give you a full rundown of all of the conversations that we had, and then give you an additional conversation on the Checkpoint podcast. And you can only get that over at checkpointradio.com, as well as a special feature on our RSS feeds right now. But again, please go subscribe to Checkpoint Radio on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and feel free to leave us a little bit of a review. But the big news that we have for Checkpoint, and you know what, if we're going to be tempted to talk about it during the news segment, let's just go ahead and spill the beans. Yeah, let's just go ahead and spill the beans now.
Can we get some drums? Do you have a drum roll?
No.
Nika, I was asking Chris, the guy with all the drops.
No, we don't.
All right, good enough.
Anyway,
I did good today.
The exciting news that we get to announce is that we are going to be doing a live episode. Well, not live, but we're going to be doing an episode from the E3 convention floor.
Awesome!
for Checkpoint this year. And that's hugely exciting for us. Last year we had Kooky going out to E3 as a representative for Final Encountercast. We're going to be out there. All four of us associated with Checkpoint Radio are going to be out there. That is hugely exciting. We'll be collecting interviews for Checkpoint. We'll be collecting interviews for Final Encountercast. And this is a really big deal. I mean, if
I recall, I think Square Enix's FF14 people are all out there too, aren't they?
I do believe that they are.
I think they complained they wouldn't get to do the early. Oh, we're not going to get to do the early access.
No, we won't.
What?
The early access for Stormblood is during E3.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to be so busy. There's no
It's
way.
going to be up to me and Jax at a stream. We got this.
E3 is the 16th. We will get back. Actually,
we'll be getting back
back
day.
at 1 a.m.
Oh my
on the
God.
16th.
So wait, we might be getting. We should
You
definitely.
might as well just stay up and play with me.
We should definitely see
Kill ourselves?
Yeah, we should see what we could do. But anyway,
Sleep on the plane.
We're excited that we're gonna be doing a show out from E3. So if you're a fan of, for example, our Fan Fest coverage that we did from 2014 and this past year's Fan Fest, it's going to be the same type of coverage except from E3. And we are hugely excited to have that opportunity. And again, that's an opportunity that we're only getting because of Checkpoint, because of the investment from people like Westwood One and from our previous affiliates and RSA Sports Entertainment and all of the kind folks that we've been working with through there. And this is really awesome. And you trace all of those opportunities back, and it originally came with this show and having to figure out like when we launched the Patreon campaign, and we almost out of the gate we got to the point where we had to figure out how to do this show once a month, that we were even able to try to take this opportunity upon ourselves and make something with Checkpoint. Like we probably would have never gotten our shit together enough to be able to make this show if it wasn't for your support.
Absolutely not. No questions.
Like we had totally, like, when we launched the Patreon campaign, we had totally sat back like, dude, there's no, we put that general gaming show
when it was the general gaming show. Quotation marks.
I know, right?
It looked like a upcoming Marvel movie, unnamed general gaming show.
It was, yes, exactly. And it seemed like a really, distant milestone. Like there was, we thought it was going to be unfathomable to get there. We were going to have to work way harder than we did to get there. And then when we got there, we were
rhetorical.
We were like, that's not
Didn't fit.
accurate. No. But when we got there, we were like, oh shit, here we are. Like
now we have to do it.
Now it's contingent on us to actually sit down and make this and actually make it a cogent product.
Yeah,
so
the hardest part was making a name. It really was.
That is depressingly accurate.
That is so true.
Naming things sucks.
It does. It is the worst.
That's how you end up with a kid named Joe Sloan.
Wow.
Ouch.
Brutal.
Did you even try?
I was named exactly after my grandfather, so go fuck yourself.
You're not even the original.
No, I'm the third.
Oh my gosh.
Damn. Anyway, so again, you trace all of those opportunities back, and it all started with doing the show and the opportunity that you guys provided us through your support over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. All right, let's check out what's going on in the news.
I'm here to do the news tonight.
And that's the way the news goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Here's a story that's out of this world.
Alrighty, well, we're going to start in the world of Pokemon Go today because we had a pretty massive update come down the APK on Sylph Road this week, and as always, everything is to be taken with a grain of salt, though Sylph Road, as you pointed out to me, Nate, is usually pretty reliable at this point.
Yeah, they've got a pretty good pipeline with Niantic at this point, yeah.
So in addition to the heap memory management being fixed, and finally maybe the game will actually run a little bit smoother, because it has been laggy.
Oh my God.
Not mine.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I was just
Mine
telling
is
Chris
brutal.
as we come up, like as we were walking up to Nate's place, like I'll be walking around, not fast or anything, so I won't get like the passenger warning, but everything on my screen just disappears,
yeah.
and doesn't come back, and I don't even have the loading icon.
No,
either.
you know, actually, I've noticed that.
That was so bad for me. I actually got the soft ban for
Really?
for the jumping around. Yeah, like I for experienced what the soft ban is like in Pokemon Go. I was at the mall on during the Worldwide Bloom event and walking around because you get like the 6-hour Pokestop lures. And all of a sudden, I jumped across the other side of the mall because the reception is shitty in there, and then it jumped me back to there. And basically, what happens is every Pokemon you catch will run on the first try. So like no matter what, I had a CP10 Pokemon pop up. I went and just to test it.
those aren't supposed to run away.
I went Raspberry Ultra Ball and it ran.
Oh my god!
And no Pokestop can be spun during your soft ban. It lasts about 10 minutes.
Ouch.
Yeah. So that was great. But I know they're trying to crack down on spoofing, so that's what that's in regards to.
Yeah, no, and the APK mine was definitely interesting. There's some data in there that's talking about raid Pokemon.
There's that. We've got a new anti-cheat measure coming in.
What is raid Pokemon?
That'll probably be one of the first legendaries that we see that will will require multiple people to participate in some way.
I'm kind of confused about that. The way I read into the rating was something like it'll happen at a gym nearby, and my thinking is that a gym that has been held for a long time, there'll be a setup like raid this gym, and if you get whatever team is in out of it, there's going to be bonus rewards.
Oh,
that's kind of how I read into the gym rating.
Yeah, the gym in my neighborhood has been instinct for like 3 months, and I'm like, I need
you
someone
should
to
feel so ashamed.
They're
of
also
yourself.
going to be implementing a cap on like you can only have so many of one kind of Pokemon in a gym, which is great because in my city there's a gym with 8 Blissey's in it.
I thought you took it down.
Oh, no.
We did, and it's back. It took me 60 revives to get that thing out of there.
Oh my god.
And it's back, and it's a level 10 gym again. I'm so mad. 8 Blissey's.
Dude, that's brutal.
Yeah. So
10 Blissey's or GTFO?
Oh god, 10 Blissey's.
That seriously, that many Blissey's is ridiculous.
It's literally the first 8 Pokemon are Blissey's, then a Gyarados and a Tyranitar.
Fuck those two guys.
Oh my god.
Combo breaker.
I know.
I don't even have a Blissey though, so they might not be able to continue the combo. How do you know they don't want to, and now their feelings are hurt? You're calling them out. Rude.
I don't know. Fuck them. I don't care. I just don't want 8 Blissey's in my gym next door to me.
Yeah, we need 10.
This is not through Sylph Road, but I also heard rumors of a new type of food that would appear in the game, and you would have to feed your Pokemon in your gym to keep it in there. Like it would weaken if you don't keep feeding it.
I think that's a great idea.
I do too. I think it's amazing.
But only if there's an actual incentive to keep your gyms up. I mean, right now it's just that gold.
The
And
coins.
if you don't need those coins, like to me, if my Pokemon are getting weaker and stuff like that, I'm not going to go like every single day or every couple days defeat it. I'll just be like, oh, I guess I'm done defending gyms then.
I like the awesome Stardust that you get out of there. It's 500 Stardust per gym you hold.
Yeah,
man.
the Stardust is really appealing, I've got to say.
In addition, they got a couple new sponsors coming in, and was there anything else that you noticed about it? You had something that you wanted to talk about with it.
With the APK mine?
Yeah, I thought there was one more thing that you said was interesting.
I thought the raid Pokemon was the most interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they'll do with that. I'd like it if it was something to like coax people to go take down long-standing gyms, but I'd really like it if we got our first legendary. I think it's time.
Oh, dude, it's definitely time.
Who do you think it's going to be?
It's either going to be Mewtwo or the 3 birds.
Wow, thanks for that, Nika. That's very, very obvious for pointing it out.
Right, like what else would
What do you think is going to be the first one, Nika?
I think Mewtwo.
You think?
Yeah.
You think they're gonna pop the Mewtwo?
Yeah, because they have to do, like, as a test, they have to do just one, and it doesn't really make sense to do one legendary.
They're not just going to pop like Moltres or Zapdos.
Right.
And I don't think we're going to get all 3 at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I think once we like see Mewtwo, then they can do the birds, and then we'll see the dogs shortly after that. I don't know, like, the ones that confuse me are Mew and Celebi. I don't know how they're going to work.
You have to go to the movie theater and watch the movie to get them.
Hey, you know what? Those movie event Pokemon got a lot of butts in seats. That's actually been a very successful promotion for them. I
think did we actually get Pokemon? I remember getting Pokemon trading cards that were exclusive for going to the movies.
Yeah,
I never actually got the Pokemon.
That stupid like golden holographic Mew card.
The ancient Mew one, that's like the hieroglyphic one. Yeah, I still have that card.
Oh yeah.
You guys should also brace yourself because as much as we want a legendary event to be awesome, remember how long they held Ditto and then was just like, all right, it's in the game now.
No. Why would you Why would you even compare the two?
I'm not saying that they would just be like, okay, legendaries are there now, but it would not surprise me if whatever they did come out with was something just really lame.
Why would but like Ditto is not a legendary?
No, I know.
No, but they had built up so much hype and speculation around Ditto just to drop him in out of nowhere.
No, they did not. There was not that much.
There was so much. People were trying to compare it to the show. Like, you know, you name the Eevees from the show. So they were thinking, okay, well, in the game,
that's not.
The chick that has a Ditto.
Niantic cannot build that hype.
Yeah, you cannot. You absolutely cannot pin that on Niantic. Niantic didn't build that expectation.
But
they didn't.
Why withhold Ditto then? Why?
They didn't
know how to make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
Niantic.
Yeah,
the same reason we don't have Delibird and Smeargle right now because they have weird mechanics that have to be built into it.
Exactly.
I didn't realize that.
Transform. They had to figure out how to make transform work,
and now they've got to figure out Sketch for Smeargle and Present for Delibird.
Exactly. I'm like, why? What's Delibird's weird?
Yeah, he's got Present. We'll get him at the holiday event this year probably.
But that's the thing though, is that, you know, like, they didn't build any of that hype or speculation around Ditto. That was the community going, it's got to be in the game, and Niantic's going,
there's Easter eggs.
Exactly. They were just vague about it. They were like, yeah, there's Easter eggs somewhere.
Yeah, I'm a Ditto.
I'm a fucking Ditto.
I mean, I won't lie that every time I caught a Bulbasaur, I was waiting to see if his eyes were weird like the one in the show. I was like, is this one? No.
No? Well, I mean, just because you were disappointed by that one Pokemon, I mean, that's not indicative of the way that they're going to be doing legendary.
I hope so.
That said, though, we've had a lot of speculation over things like Mewtwo because of that original promo video, and it's like now you've put a year and a half on top of that. You better deliver. Or not a year and a half. I'm sorry, 9 months on top of that.
About a year.
About a year. Yeah.
Almost.
By the time it comes
almost
out
a year. Almost a year. Yeah. I mean, did you really expect it that quickly, though? We don't even have trading.
Yeah, no.
There's no trading. So, I mean...
We're battling.
Yeah. So.
I did think that we would have at least the birds before Gen 2 hit, and I was wrong on that one.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
But
I also thought we would have battling before Gen 2 hit also, but...
I mean, it's disappointing. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think it's kind of stupid in the long run, but, we're already into Gen 2, so we're here.
But look on the bright side. At least we have a Magikarp hat.
Yeah, we do have a Magikarp hat.
And we have a shiny Magikarp.
Well, I do.
Shut up.
BioWare,
can you even still get shiny Magikarp?
I've not seen one.
Honest to God,
reports of one ever since the event.
Yeah, I haven't heard of anyone getting any out of the event.
What if shinies are like event based, and once the event's gone, there's no more shiny?
Yeah, was anyone else surprised that we didn't get a shiny with Worldwide Bloom?
No, that was only a weekend.
No, I wasn't.
Am I surprised? No. Am I disappointed? Yes.
Yeah,
I thought that they might have given us one, but yeah.
Yeah, especially because there was a rumor that came out about shiny Eevee early on. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know why that would be in this event, but yes, please.
Well, I had some friends that were convinced that when that New Year's loading screen came in, that the Eevee, because of the light shining on him, looked yellow and not brown. And they're like,
I heard that crackpot shit too.
Your friends are the stupidest people I don't know.
I mean, he does look like a different color, but I think the shiny Eevee is actually white, isn't he?
Yes,
he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
BioWare Montreal is currently going through a downsizing, with many of the staff being moved over to work on Star Wars Battlefront 2. In addition to the downsizing, BioWare has confirmed the Mass Effect franchise is going on hiatus for a while.
No.
Yeah, bye, assholes.
No, so what this sounds like is like, okay, the original team was the ones that were in Canada, and you guys, or you guys fucked it up. So we're going to downsize this one and wait until the other team is done with their other project and then give it back to them.
The original team? You mean like the original Mass Effect
What was
team?
it? There was an article I read that said the original team was at the other.
No,
the
Nika,
branch.
the original Mass Effect team has scattered to all different
that's
developers.
what I thought, but the article I read was like, oh well, a lot of people from the original team were still at the other branch, and they were working
to the
on.
winds.
Yeah,
and they were working on the other game that they're codenamed Dylan.
No, what this is that because of all the controversy behind it, they don't want to try and put out another one already, so they're going to try and let it cool before they decide to do anything.
I also think they're going to give it to someone else.
The only thing that I'm worried about right now, or curious about, is how this may affect any potential DLC or expansions or add-ons that if they had any of that in the pipework.
I probably won't get any of them.
We'll see.
That would be sad.
It would be very sad.
I mean,
we haven't heard anything about it in the first place, though. Like they've never mentioned DLC.
Exactly. Like that's my thing, because what was great about this game is that it had like a definite end to that story arc, but then there were still so many other places they could go with it. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of avenues open, and if they're just putting like the next game on hold or the series on hold, like okay, I get that. But if they're just flat out putting any Mass Effect related stuff at all on hold, that's really sad.
Well, just because it's not a very good game.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
have you seen the faces?
They fixed the faces.
I mean, there was a lot wrong with the game, but it was not like the worst game ever. Okay, my Keon's looking at me like.
But the thing, you guys are only giving it that benefit of the doubt because of the Mass Effect.
That this is the thing. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt because I was hoping that it was going to lead somewhere in the next one. Like what it felt like was a big buildup, but now we'll never know because the game's on hold forever, and so I don't know if they actually had this big buildup to the next game because we're not getting it.
Look, maybe if Mass Effect had decided to like release a motion picture movie alongside of it and animate, we'd have DLC for it. But
actually,
they didn't go the extra mile, so no.
I actually did see a headline. They are set to release the first story tie-in, which is probably going to be like a novel or comic form. That's something that they did a lot with the comic.
Yeah, the other. I have all the other Mass Effect comics.
I hope it's not Dark Horse writing it again because they were not great. I mean, was it Titan or Dark Horse? I think it's Dark Horse.
I don't remember now.
Do you think they're just going to abandon the franchise?
I don't think
they're
going
to.
No,
I don't think so.
I think that
it's too big of a cash cow for them.
Even given the way that Andromeda was received and the controversy around it, I still think that it's an IP that can bring in money. I mean,
the game was like playable enough that nobody really rage quit the game, and enough people still bought it and are still loyal to the franchise to hope that something else is coming. And I don't think they'd be very smart.
The idea that they might sell it off or pawn it off to a smaller company. That's plausible.
Okay, all right. Because I was going to say, but between the Mass Effect 3 ending debacle and now the Andromeda backlash, I can see maybe them wanting to put some distance between themselves and the franchise, or at least letting the franchise cool.
Possibly, but until one of those games actually financially flops, I don't think you'll see that happen.
Mm-hmm. You know what? They should give it to Konami. They can make a really good pachinko machine out of it.
God damn it.
Better than Crystal Zombies.
Jeez.
Oh, man.
Arcane's new shooter title, Prey, has received pretty positive reviews, but an exploit is allowing players to complete the game in very short amounts of time. The current world record holder is currently Draku, who completed the game in 19 minutes and 34 seconds.
Insane.
Yeah, so there's a glitch near the beginning of the game that you can exploit the recycling mechanic in the game to get really sweet weapons and stuff and beat the game super fast.
It's not even necessarily just getting strong weapons. There's apparently a way to where you can like build, I guess there's some type of building block mechanic where you can build yourself stairs to go through walls and reach the end of the game that way, effectively skipping over a majority of it. Now, it should also be noted this happened within 3 days, and Draku's run previous to this exploit, he did a speedrun of the game in 45 minutes, which is still pretty damn quick.
Now, I looked this up. This is developed by Arcane, but that's a subset of Bethesda, right?
Arcane?
This comes out of is at least published by Bethesda. Am I correct?
Prey?
I believe so.
No, that was the last Prey. That was the previous Prey, I think.
They're not connected?
The previous.
No, he's right. This is Bethesda.
I would say because this kind of like game-breaking glitch in a game that people love anyway has Bethesda written all over it.
Publisher is Bethesda Softworks. Developers are Arcane Studios.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I was gonna say, when I hear a game that has a massive bug in it and is still well liked, that just screams Bethesda.
Well, that bug isn't even the worst. There was another bug that was corrupting save data.
Oh my god!
A few days ago, which was patched, and if you kept the corrupted save data, that was also fixed. For a while, and that was on PC only. For a while, that was pretty bad.
Square Enix looks to be celebrating a great year last year as they've reported record high net sales last year, specifically a 20% increase over the year prior. The success of titles like Final Fantasy 15 and Rise of the Tomb Raider, as well as a massive increase in mobile game sales, are the key factors.
How's their subscription numbers looking?
They did say that they took a hit in MMOs, but a lot of that is attributed to now expansion releasing that year.
Shit, yeah!
Whereas one did in 2015.
I mean that's good for them. When you have 10-year development cycles for your games, though, like, of course you're gonna have like peaks and valleys. Like,
suddenly you have a good year as you release a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, as you release the shit you've been talking about for the last 7 fucking years.
It's like when Nintendo's boasting that their Mario Kart sold so well. Well, of course, it's the only game the Switch has.
So in 2018,
no, there's Zelda 2.
Yeah.
So in 2018, when we finally get Kingdom Hearts 3, are they going to consider it?
2018? Wow.
Is that going to be?
You think we're going to get it next year?
That's pretty optimistic.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting it next year.
That was a headline that they were aiming for 2018 with a release, and we're supposed to be getting a trailer.
Yeah, guys, it's totally going to happen in 2018. I believe it
when I see it.
I believe it totally. You hear how serious I am? Yeah, no.
Live in the now.
But I feel like that should be the Kingdom Hearts 3 development motto: live in the now.
But yeah, that should be the subtitle of the game.
I mean, this is only a game that you've had in development for fucking 12 years. Like, of course you're going to have a good financial year when you finally release it.
Yeah.
No, we're not interested in money.
But still, if it's record high, that means even in the other years where they've released a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but consider the acquisitions that they've made in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
if they didn't have a record year this year, they would be fucked.
Yeah, but 20% is still a big increase profitability.
Over last year, or is that over the record?
That is over year.
Okay, so again, that's
good.
Yeah, I would expect something like that. If they now go 2-3 years before Kingdom Hearts comes out, and then Kingdom Hearts come out, I'm going to expect another 20% increase over the year we didn't release anything.
Well, for sure, next year's numbers will be more telling. On the other end of things, though, they made a sizable loss in divesting themselves of IO Interactive.
Is that a loss?
Well, financially, they had to spend some money to do it, but yes. As far as baggage holding, not so much.
That's what yeah, exactly. Like, in the grand scheme of things, is it really a loss?
Not really. In a statement earlier this week, they said they've decided to withdraw from the Hitman developer and are currently seeking other investors to take over.
That's more like cutting off dead weight.
There's something who said for addition by subtraction. An 11-year-old in Tallahassee had an unusual discovery in his used copy of Grand Theft Auto 5 as he discovered a small bag of crystal meth in the case.
Holy shit.
According to those articles, this is the second time something like this has happened.
I was just getting to that. Strangely, this isn't the first time this has happened, as another 11-year-old discovered a bag of crystal meth in his game last September in Louisiana.
Oh, God.
Complain about it.
What is going on?
The worst thing about this story is all the comments I read about this are attacking the parents for buying this kid Grand Theft Auto. Who the fuck cares?
That's fair. The kid's 11. Fuck that.
There is a... I don't know. You have to know your kid.
Exactly. You can have conversations with children, and they know the difference between playing a video game and then getting fucking meth in your game.
11's an interesting game. Yeah, I think if you're buying it for a 5-year-old, I think that's a little bit different. 11 is... Yeah, it's okay.
I guess my parents did buy me Duke Nukem at 7, so...
But okay, Nika, both you and I are former employees of GameStop. Yes. We know how the trade-in process works, okay? This to me is not someone who traded the game back in and left their crystal meth accidentally in their copy of Grand Theft Auto 5. This to me sounds like an employee had hit it somewhere.
I spent some time thinking about this because the article says, oh, maybe GameStop needs to review how it brings in games. And I stopped to think about when I would take in trades, we looked at the disc, but we never looked at the manual. It says that he found the meth in between pages of the manual. Most games didn't have the manual, or trade-in games didn't have it in a case. But if there was a manual, I pulled out the manual and flipped through it.
What's a manual?
Hang on. Yeah, exactly. First of all,
most games didn't, but it said that's where they found this meth was in between the pages in the manual.
Fucking what? Like, hang on. I need to know. Like, someone go get. If someone in the chat has a physical copy of Grand Theft Auto 5, please go get it and tell me if there's a fucking manual.
Yeah, maybe.
And tell me if there's fucking crystal meth.
I'm fascinated to know if there's a manual, because 99% of the time now games come with digital manuals,
right,
where you hit the options button or the start button before you launch it, and you bring up the manual that way. Okay, so
it says there is a manual and a map.
There's a manual and a map. Okay,
so I can say for sure that when I would bring in the trades, I would turn over the disc, I would feel it to see if there's any like feelable scratches that would catch on my fingernail, and then I would put it in the drawer.
Yeah.
I never looked at the manual.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So Nika doesn't do her job.
See, but the thing,
they never told us to do that. It wasn't part of our job.
The thing, I mean,
it's implied, Nika.
Even working there and
but I have to look for meth inside the used game case.
Clearly, you do. You know what? This is how the education system is crumbling under DeVos.
All right, pit stains.
Harsh.
The thing is, though, is that I don't know that even working there in 2011, if I ever took in a game that ever had a manual. But you're right.
But even if you did, you weren't really paying attention.
You're right. You're right.
Have.
Yeah, you're right. If we did, you're right. I never checked it. So that is fair. But I think that this was probably someone who, I don't know, maybe was selling meth to their coworker. And that's how they would do it.
That is possible.
Because you can take home games. Like that's one.
You can rent games.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I think they need to.
So they put it in GTA. How meta,
right? Like that's almost cliche. Like, how obvious do you have to be?
Oh no!
Like you're just you're asking to be caught. Put it in a copy of
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
Exactly. Yeah, something that no one will ever buy.
No, but think about the conversation that would have come out of that, because the other guy who was buying it would have gotten home with his copy of GTA 5, opened it up, not found the crystal meth in there, and been like, uh-oh, as he realizes that it's still at the store. Then he gets back and he's like, did we have another copy of the game in? Maybe this one? I don't know. I need another copy. No, we just sold it to some kid.
Shit. Putting in my 2 weeks notice.
I gotta go.
First of all, this is just hilarious. Second of all,
this is the second time this has happened in because this happened in Tallahassee, the first time it happened was in Louisiana. What's going on here?
When it happened in Louisiana, was it also a copy of Grand Theft Auto 5?
No.
Oh,
it didn't have. What was it?
Well, it doesn't say, does it? It didn't.
I thought it did.
Are video game cases really good places to hide meth?
I think that this just says something about the people working at GameStop. I mean, I think they're really shady. Foozer Dajan said that we used to put the Pokemon 3DS games in our 3DS in the cartridge, take the old ones, take what's on there and deposit them into the bank, and then put them back.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
That's brilliant. That's what I would do if I was still working there. Given how many second-hand Pokemon carts that I've bought that have still had very usable shit on them that I've pulled off and then banked, yeah, I would do that with every single one of them, and then make sure everything going out is clean.
He's at GameStop, and his manager's like, wow, that's the fourth copy of Diamond that you're taking home. You must really like that game.
Fuck that. You do that. At that point, you do it in the store. You don't even need...
do it in the back room.
In the back room? Are you kidding me? Like when there's...
Nate has no shame.
Fuck it. Do it with people standing in front of you. I would not give a fuck.
Show them what you're pulling off. Look what I just found on this game.
I wouldn't have been able to do that in my store, though. My store had too much traffic.
Check out
the shopping mall. It was bad.
Oh, my God. No, I was also in a mall, except I was in, like, the rich mall where people would come in, walk around, and not buy anything.
No, that's exactly what my GameStop's problem was. Is that everyone coming in was, I mean, I live in a pretty rich area around around DC, and the people coming in are actually travelers. No, these people are foreigners who come in and buy FIFA and then leave, and they don't want to buy your power cards or reserve anything. That was 90% of my sales were FIFA to oversee people. That's
so weird.
Fusro Dasian, yeah, exactly. I would have pages upon pages of Kabuto hatches that I would place instead of what I would pull off, so that way I would know which ones that I had hit.
He uses a sell technique.
My calling card.
He's like, I just pulled a bunch of shiny legendaries off this cart. You might want to get one of the ones that I haven't checked yet. They get home and it's just full of Kabutos.
Check out my shiny Mewtwo I just pulled off this cart I paid 12 cents for.
18 pages of Kabuto.
Fill the box, make them empty it out.
Yeah, you got to reset the cart.
Nintendo has detailed their plans for E3, and as expected, they look similar to last year. They'll be running a spotlight to look at upcoming games for the Switch, including Super Mario Odyssey. Following that will be a Treehouse event, and lastly, they'll be running tournaments for Splatoon 2 and ARMS. Nate, I know you're going to be in ARMS.
Damn it!
I know you're going to be in that tournament.
Oh, no. Fucking ARMS is the dumbest game, even in concept. I think, every time I see
that,
it,
robo boxing game, right?
Yeah.
You know what? I would say that, except I remember a system called the Virtual Boy that had a grand total of 2 good games on it: Wario Land and Telro Boxer. And Telro Boxer was awesome.
I don't remember Telro Boxer. I did play the fuck out of Wario Land.
Yeah, and that was the only good things on Virtual Boy.
Made my eyes bleed.
That's why we wear glasses, Nate.
The fact that Nintendo is actually trying to back certain games as competitive, sports with Splatoon and ARMS, yet they have Smash Brothers over here that is thriving all on its own.
I know.
And they're like, nah, robot boxing.
You know what? You don't touch what's working, okay? Just leave Smash to its own devices.
Come on, you have to admit that that's infuriating.
I mean, I hear that Splatoon's actually pretty fun.
Here's the thing. They're not even making any money off of Smash. Why don't they even look at that as a potential investment opportunity?
Listen, Nika, I will give you that Splatoon definitely has merit to it, but here's the thing. Chris, and I need to stick my head inside the bubble here for a minute and speak with you.
Don't do it. You're gonna get AIDS.
But even you have to admit that it's super frustrating to watch Nintendo continue to make ass-backward decisions around things like Smash Brothers, and also trying to dip their toe into calling themselves competitive, or trying to, include esports as a concept in their fucking trailer. This has got to be...
I can deny that, because there's just too many words and I stopped listening halfway through.
That seems likely.
Yeah. Okay.
In addition, Nintendo confirmed in their plans that Super Mario Odyssey will be playable for the first time at E3.
Oh my God, we're going to get to play this before the Mario fanboy
That's
over
correct.
here.
The game is a sandbox in the style of Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario 64, though we know little else about it yet. I'm legitimately excited to play.
That's the kind of Mario games I really like.
Then are you volunteering to stand in line for the Nintendo hands-on?
I tell you what, if we look at what our schedule is out there, and I can justifiably say I have 8 hours to wait in line, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, you guys are
good luck.
Yeah, we are not going to have time to stand in line to play this game, are we?
You guys aren't going to play Mario Odyssey before.
No. Yeah, probably
That's probably correct.
Maybe if Callie sucks a few dicks.
You know what? I've sucked dick for less.
That'd be a lot of dicks.
Gross.
An unofficial patch for Nier Automata called Fix Automata Resolution has been making headlines, not for the fixes it brings to improve frame rates and to repair a native resolution bug, but for the anti-piracy check it includes. Users who attempt to run the mod will find themselves on an infinite terms of service screen if their game doesn't pass the piracy check. As the mod creator said, nothing malicious happens if you fail the check. You're just presented with an infinite license screen that you can click accept on, but since you don't respect licenses, the license doesn't respect your click.
He's a pirate for good?
I'm so...
No, he's not a pirate. He just creates unofficial mods.
Okay, creating an unofficial mod is technically against the terms of service, right? That makes you a pirate.
I mean, I guess, but you're not stealing the game. You paid money for it.
I know.
Well, I mean, it is a bit of a legal gray area, and now he's gone to the extra step to ensure that
only people who actually bought the game can use this mod.
Is it only people who bought the game or only people who bought the mod? Because if it's only people...
I think it's people who bought the legal copy of the game.
That's bizarre.
You have to have the Steam compatible version. It has to pass Steam's anti-piracy check.
That's fucking bizarre, though. Like, what? Hang on. Why is this guy... Like, he doesn't have a dog in that fight.
Well, he kind of does. Actually,
some people have integrity,
no,
Nate.
I don't know if it's that, but he says it's been his experience because he's created Tales of Symphonia, is that what it's called?
Symphonia.
He's created mods for that, and he got in trouble over them for asset injection, for copyright infringement, not because of him actually stealing anything, but because people could use his mod to get the assets out. And he said, in my experience, I found that it's always people who facilitate the crime rather than the end user who actually does it, who gets in trouble.
He said that he did this. He doesn't give a shit what you do with licenses. He said this is to protect me in case they come back after me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I just really like how he handles that. Like, you don't respect licenses, so my license doesn't respect your click. Whatever. Deal with it.
Wow. Okay.
It's kind of cool, though.
Yeah.
I love, dude, the amount of butthurt people have over him putting an anti-piracy check in his mod is hysterical to read about.
It is really hysterical because, like, I don't know if it's so hard for me to think about pirating games that you can still easily buy, like one that's not like out of print and so hard to find. Like, if there's a game you can go to the store, it's a really good game, and you want them to make more of it because you love it so much. Why not pay the fucking $60 and support the game? Like, let's be real.
I mean,
it's a good fucking game. It's a great game.
That's the thing, is that, to my knowledge, most of the game piracy that was done in the early wave of piracy was more about access than it was. And that's the thing. That's the dirty little secret about piracy and media piracy that none of these companies really like to address, but they end up having to address in a company, like in a business model sense, somewhere down the line. And that is, the majority of people aren't doing this because they can't afford it. The majority of people are doing this because they want access to the thing, and you're not fucking providing it. So once the Steam platform became pretty ubiquitous, I think, like, dude, game piracy dropped off by a lot. But even today, you still see, like, think about Dark Souls. The Steam port of that is nigh unplayable without the patches to fix it. It's true. It's
awful.
Well, and that's why I think that, game companies shouldn't burn their bridge to their player communities, especially if, they're doing things like mods and stuff like that, because so often these mod communities are coming in and fixing stability issues and problems that you didn't have time to fix before you brought your game to market. Or they're adding in ideas
you never even thought of, and it actually makes more people want to buy the game and play it because they have other cool mods. Like, I know Bethesda does that with their Elder Scrolls games. They embrace their mod community, and people create, like, survival modes where you get cold and freeze and starve to death.
Survival modes.
Yeah, like, and all these things that they're like, we didn't want to put that in the game, but if you guys want to put that, that's a really cool idea. And they embrace that.
Well, Bethesda's always really had this sort of open attitude towards modding and its modding community, but look at the other end of the spectrum. Look at Nintendo.
They are very open to modding.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, very open.
Within the confines of Super Mario Maker.
Oh, see, you didn't let him finish.
Duh.
Well, I mean, Nintendo hasn't just been litigious with people making content on things like YouTube, or been litigious with people who are making, whole new games out of their previous assets or their IPs. They've even been litigious for people making mods to where, a lot of the Super Smash Brothers Melee mod community has to do that on, like, lockdown forums that you have to sign up to be able to get access to the files. So they can account on a 1-to-1 ratio who is accessing this stuff. And when you've suppressed your community to that point, especially when it's like we're talking about a game like fucking Melee. Like, really? Like, I've got to click through 7 different sites to be able to download a networking patch for fucking Melee? Like, are you shitting me? This is insane.
Okay, well, to be fair, the mods for Smash Brothers are typically more popular than the Smash Brothers game itself, so I can see Nintendo being a little butthurt about that.
Well, maybe
But
if
your
they did a
game's
better,
so old at this point.
well, and maybe if they
It's
did
about pride, okay?
did a better fucking job at making it in the first goddamn place, then this wouldn't be needed.
All right, well, you know what? Go make your game, make it better than Smash, but don't use Smash as the concept, okay?
I'm just saying, like, why burn the bridge to that community? Why be a dick to those people? And you know, in some cases, like, really go after their livelihood, because this is not. They don't just go after them. You know, and say shut down, you know, send a quick C&D, shut down your project. There are times where people have been dragged through court. They have to pay legal fines. They have to hire a lawyer, and they've got to either try to defend themselves or settle. And they end up losing a whole bunch of money, regardless if they made a dime off of what they did or not.
And don't act like how old the game is has anything to do with it, because before the mini or the little NES box came out, there was like a Kickstarter for someone who was basically doing that same thing with every game imaginable. And how old are those games?
Right.
Not available anywhere, and Nintendo's like, nah, that's our stuff. Nintendo doesn't care about anything except that's our stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look at it from Nintendo's point of view, though.
It's their stuff.
It's their stuff.
It is their stuff.
And
legally, they're right.
You have people playing in Project M tournaments, and they're like, and some new person comes in. It's like, oh, what's this game? Oh, this is Smash Bros. Melee Project M. It's like, oh, what's the original game? Oh, Smash Brothers, but that game's garbage. Don't play that. Play this mod only because this game fixes everything. Like, Nintendo doesn't want that kind of bad press. Like, if you're going to play Smash Brothers, play Smash Brothers. Don't play the game that's clearly superior to
Okay,
Smash
all right. Then the business decision that makes sense in that capacity is bring out a version of Smash Brothers for your current hardware.
Yeah.
If that's your problem, if you're going to drag people through the court to be able to make your point on a mod, then you know what? Like, fucking support your games properly. Like, it says something. It says something that the popularity of Smash Brothers has waned since Melee, or that Melee is even still a competitive or relevant game in 2017. That says something about the games that you've developed and put out since then. Brawl was unsatisfactory. 4 was not. I mean, it moved it in a better direction, but still not quite there. I mean, Brawl is still undoubtedly the black sheep of the family, right? So you've got 4 that's moving it in a better direction, but now we've had like 4 months, almost 6 months of the Switch being out, and there is.
Are you complaining that there's not enough games on the Switch?
No, hang on. I'm saying that we've had 6 months of the Switch, and there's no plan. There's no announcement. There's no, this is when you can expect Smash Brothers. This is even what we're doing with Smash Brothers. I will give them to E3. If they do not say shit at E3 about what they're doing with Smash Brothers.
When's their own Nintendo event?
Their Treehouse? I think
no, there's supposed to be a Nintendo Direct in June too, isn't there?
I think so.
I think.
I feel like if they're going to announce it, they would announce it there, because Smash.
Fine,
Yeah.
but I'm just using E3 as just, you know, that's in my head, that's their deadline, right?
Right.
So if they don't have shit out there by E3, because whether you like E3 or not, or whether you're doing anything at E3 or not, that's still the biggest press time for video games. And if you're not a part of that, conversation, you're not going to be a part of the conversation moving forward for the next 3 fucking months.
And that's kind of the thing, like, is you are going to be bringing it to the Switch eventually. We know GameCube games will appear on the Switch. When you do that, if you don't patch Melee to bring it up to like what tournament standards would have it be, then that's on you.
Yeah.
Forget even patching. They could make so much money if they re-release like an HD version, fix all the problems, put out like, you know, a legacy classic controller, you know, GameCube controller that can attach to the Switch.
On purpose.
Whatever. But that's due to a glitch anyway, so they can fix that glitch so that the backdash just works, right?
Right, yeah.
They would sell to every single person that already plays it, and anybody who wants to play. Like, that's just the stupidest thing not to do that.
Look, even if they never do you know, like a Melee port, right? Like, they say that, oh, it can support Dreamcast game, or not Dreamcast, but it can support GameCube games, right? You know, even if they never did that with Melee, they have to, in this next news cycle, say something or give a roadmap for Smash Brothers fans so that they can start investing in the hardware. hardware. That's who they need to bring to the table. That, as you had mentioned, Robbie, coming into the story, that is their that's where their competitive scene actually exists. And with all of the buzz and investment around esports, it would be a huge oversight if Nintendo just decided, oh, we're just gonna sit on our hands and wait for Smash Bros. They've got to deliver Smash Brothers in some form or fashion in the next 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, I agree.
Not the game. I'm just saying, like the
franchise.
They either need a port of 4, right? Like that should be in theory kind of simple.
Well, remember, even they were supposed to have the GameCube Virtual Console at some point,
right? Yeah, or some kind of roadmap on Melee, or just something about a new version of, if they're going to do a new version, you got to say something about it. Either say something about a port or say something about a new version. Do something.
Existing Elder Scrolls Online players will be the first ones to get their hands on the upcoming Morrowind expansion. Specifically, those who have pre-ordered the digital download or the physical collector's edition will get the expansion a full 15 days before anyone else. So for those who just can't wait, make sure you pre-order. Your pre-order is in and you can start playing May 22nd. 15 days? Come on, SE. I want FF14 that early.
Like what, we get ours like 2 or 3 days early?
Yeah, 2-3 days. 15.
Okay, well, hold on. Do you really want 15 extra days? I mean, that's like that's and 14. That's
such a huge gap. Like
you're getting your tombstones at that point.
Exactly. In that 2 weeks, I'm already checked out.
Yeah,
I'm checked out. I'm done.
You're
done.
checked out before the expansion comes out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
well,
why would you do that?
If Square Enix follows its own track record,
yeah, who knows what Bethesda is doing? Like maybe
Morrowind's. There's been some hype for it, right?
Oh, definitely. There's a ton of excitement for Morrowind.
For sure.
Yeah, Vardenfell is a place we have not revisited since Morrowind.
Yeah,
and it was one of the most well-liked regions.
I bet this 15-day sells some pre-orders.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just. Well, it depends on the kind of content. I mean, if you had said early access when FF11 was current, right? Mm-hmm. If you had said early access 15 days on FF11,
absolutely.
Yeah, that would have made sense. That would have made absolute sense.
15 days, I'll be through the first couple missions.
I will have leveled
I might be the next level.
Yeah, I will have leveled 3 times. Exactly.
Jesus, that's being generous.
Yeah.
Although you would have a huge leg up on people if you're playing in Trenches of Outer again.
Wait, hold on. Actually, you might not be up a few levels because depending on how many other people are in early access, you might not be able to get a party.
Oh, yeah. You know what? That's actually true. But yeah, I think it depends on what Bethesda has here. Mm-hmm. Like 2 weeks could be okay. If it's like 14, yeah, dude. If that was Stormblood, like. I feel like I'd be done by those 2 weeks.
I feel like it's just punishing people who aren't pre-ordering, like really hard. 2 weeks.
Well, they want everyone to pre-order so they can guarantee sales.
Yeah. I get what they're doing. 2 weeks, it definitely feels like a long time. That said, if I was an ESO player, this would encourage me to pre-order.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an ESO player, why would you not pre-order?
Why wouldn't you? Yeah.
Why would you not pre-order any expansion?
This is just the guarantee.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, this is going to affect 45 people, maybe total.
Especially with it being Morrowind. Alchemy Labs, the creators behind Job Simulator and Rick and Morty. Alchemy. Yes, it's hard to pronounce. I'm sorry.
It's owls that do alchemy.
No. They use alchemy, but they use owls instead of elements. So you got like horned owls and great owls. You mix them together, you get a great hoarding owl.
Okay.
Alchemy.
I say alchemy, like all of us.
Well, they're the creators of Job Simulator and Rick and Morty Virtual Reality. They've been purchased by none other than Google. Though we don't have any specific projects announced yet, the studio is going to continue developing VR games for the PlayStation, Oculus, and HTC Vive. I haven't gotten to play Rick and Morty Virtual Reality yet, but I hear it's really good. I think so, yeah.
Oh.
I heard it's really good, too. I did get to play Job Simulator, which was silly but fun, so I'm into it.
But for how long?
I'm more interested in seeing Google buying a game studio and developing.
Dude, Adult Swim is just making awesome stuff.
Oh my gosh, Juxtadomus prediction. Google's going to come out in 2020 with a brand new console and there'll be a 3-way console war.
Council?
Council War.
Council War.
Okay.
I don't see it. No, but I mean, like, I really do think that Adult Swim has made some really, like, they've gone from, like, browser-based games, and then they've really, like, started to up their ante in, like, the last couple of years. And I think some of the stuff that they're doing specifically around Rick and Morty is really impressive.
And I think that we need new blood in the industry. I mean, you know, we talked before, or I don't know if we talked about it, but there was that story about Amazon investing a bunch of money into new developers. And, you know, years ago, they released that engine that they had created for free. So I'd like to see some companies that aren't already in traditional gaming to start, you know, getting into gaming, because there's no way that can hurt the industry. And, you know, we could get some awesome new brilliant mind that comes in and really shakes stuff up.
Google is definitely interesting just because they seem to like get their hand in everything at some point. So, and most often what they do is good, not, you know, things like Google Plus notwithstanding.
You know what's actually surprising is that Google doesn't already have their fingers in a pie somewhere.
I don't believe for a second that they don't. They must own some company that I'm just unaware that they're the principal owner behind.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like this would be like, if they were gonna dive in, I'd expect it to be with a much larger company than Alchemy.
Wait, wasn't Niantic Labs part of Google at one point?
But they actually broke off.
Yeah, they broke up. But they were part of it during Ingress.
Yeah.
So yes, they have a hand in the pie.
Fair enough. Star Citizen's creator did an interview with the New York Times on the massive success of the game's crowdfunding campaign. While hoping to raise $4 million originally, the game currently stands at over $148 million raised. Some parts of the game are playable, but the full title still remains without a release date due to the increased scope of the final game.
Not to mention they don't want to be Star Citizen, No Man's Sky again.
This was a really weird thing for me because, like, I think we talked about it a long time ago, where even if you do get a lot more funding than you're expecting, make good on your current scope before you try to expand the game's scope.
Yeah.
Yes.
And at the same time, if I, suddenly had $100 million to work with, if I'm an artistic type, I'd have a hard time saying, like, well, I can do a lot with $100 million that I can't do with $4 million.
Right.
Do the $4 million first.
But yeah, I think I still agree with that. Overall, you gotta deliver on what you promised first, and then if you want to say, I've still got $120 million lying around, I think I'm going to do something sweet with this game now.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely got to, like, hit your original vision,
right?
And I think, like, if you look at, like, Mighty Number 9, right?
Do we have to?
Well, plus, if you really, really want to make
look at how much money it got versus what it put out. You know what I mean? Like,
You lose.
Pretty much.
How? How is that possible?
If you fulfill the promises that you make and you don't make other promises and then give them more than they were expecting, you're going to make so many more waves than giving them, what you originally told them, adding more promises onto it, and then maybe falling through on a few of those as well, Give them the core thing that they were looking forward to, and if you add a few things under the table, that can't hurt your end game product.
Right, you put out a $4 million fundraiser and saying, here's what I want to make, here's my idea, and enough people loved that idea that you ended up making $140+ million on it. Like,
just make clearly the $4 million game and pocket the rest.
No. Just make the best $4 million game that you can, because clearly you've got the overhead operational budget. But the thing is if you start throwing all of these new ideas on, you're going to end up with Duke Nukem Forever. That's exactly what the guy who was making that did. He would play a new game and be like, "Oh, we need that in this game.
We need the roster system."
It is amazing to play through Duke Nukem Forever, and you can literally see the greatest hits of 2004 through 2010 lay out each level. You're like, huh, this looks familiar. It's almost like Call of Duty was being played at this time.
Yes. Well, but that's actually remarkably true. That's how that game was sort of developed. But the thing
that would actually be a really cool game to play if they had that design at the start.
If it was like a purposeful commentary on that sort of thing
on each game, like going through the game.
I mean, it would have been funny, but it was not that self-aware.
That would have rung true to kind of what
Nukem.
that would have rung true to the original Duke Nukem, which was a commentary on action heroes and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, but no,
that's not what this was.
No, it took itself way too fucking seriously.
Yeah, it really did.
But the thing is that
here's the thing about Star Citizen. What is out is actually pretty good. It's not like what we're getting is garbage. It's just like I expected the full game out a long time ago.
Right. No, And I think anyone who gave to that Kickstarter also probably thinks the same thing. You know, like they expected this a while ago.
Yeah.
What is there is pretty okay. And it's, just fucking make the game that you sold to people.
Right.
And don't try to put all of this additional stuff on top of it. Again, learn from No Man's Sky. They fucking way overpromised.
Oh, yeah.
And when they didn't deliver, people held them to it. And look at the mess that it made for them. Hello Games is basically done.
Yeah.
You think Hello Games is ever going to be able to make another game?
Not as Hello Games.
No, yeah, under a new name maybe, but no, not as
does Sean Murray have a career in game making, or is he just a toxic asset? He will.
They've still been updating No Man's Sky.
I know. They're still technically a company.
My guess would be his next game is an indie development project. I don't think it'll be anything AAA.
His next project is getting his name legally changed.
I'm just saying, like, you can only go through that shit. Like that was as bad as it will ever be. You know what I mean? Like the No Man's Sky Fallout was as bad as I've ever seen it.
Yeah, I mean, such a perfect example of bad marketing.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
This weekend is the last one in which you can buy Alan Wake on Steam. The game is on a 90% discount, putting it at around $3, but will be gone for good after the sale ends due to expiring music licenses.
Yeah, apparently when they made the game, they only licensed the music for like 7 years.
Yeah.
So now it has to come down.
And now, they just can't sell it anymore.
Now,
that's really unfortunate.
If you already own it, which is why I think it's been discounted so crazily, then it's going to stay on your Steam account. Like, you can still play it, but you won't be able to buy it after it comes down.
Right. What if whoever owns that game just takes out all the music and you play it like a silent game? Could you play it then?
I would imagine,
if
they could probably rip the music out and
here's
then
the
put
question.
it back up.
It could be silent Alan Wake.
Well, no, you don't even have to do that. You can just
Alan asleep.
You could just rip the music out and put other tracks in. It's just, is it worth it financially to do that for a game that probably isn't going to sell a ton more copies?
Yeah.
Especially once you rip out some of the key soundtracks.
It is a really atmospheric game. It's pretty reliant on tension, the ability to build tension.
Have you ever heard, though, of a game being discontinued on sales because of expiring music licenses?
I absolutely have.
Yeah?
Really?
I've heard of this game called Alan Wake that's gonna...
No, there was this little game for the PlayStation Portable called Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. I think that was the one.
Oh.
And the reason that it's not available digitally on the PlayStation Marketplace is because of music licensing.
Ah,
interesting.
Crisis Core or Theater Rhythm?
No, Crisis
Core. You can't get it on the PlayStation Network.
Yeah, you know how it had that big song from like some kind of J-rock band or some.
Yeah.
That's why.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
That band will not give them the licensing rights to let them distribute it.
Was it Gacked?
Gax is not a band.
I have no idea.
Rainway put out a poll asking people if they'd like for the app to be present on PlayStation. The results of the poll were overwhelmingly yes, with 89% of the vote. Interestingly, someone asked if they would be coming to Xbox One, to which they replied the client is already in development.
Yeah.
So Rainway app coming to Xbox and PlayStation. Probably.
I think
probably
Wait, what is Rainway?
It's the one you can stream PC games to your whatever system has the app on it.
Oh, wow, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it. I'm into it.
The Hearthstone Spring Playoffs will be held across the country on May 27th. I thought you'd be excited for this.
This is the worst.
It'll determine who qualifies for the $250,000 Spring Championship in Shanghai. The problem is that some of these playoff tournaments are being held at Buffalo Wild Wings, which will remain open to the public, no less, and during the NBA and NHL playoffs. While Blizzard assures that they've worked with the locations to improve on the conditions seen during the Winter Tavern Hero qualifiers, players of those events said that the location was a huge distraction. Reports claimed everything from shoddy internet causing disconnections to waitstaff actually interrupting the game.
Yep, and you have to go there. If that's your location that you're going to, you have to go there to do it.
Why?
It's so weird. So there's there's 15 locations that are hosting one of these tournaments, and 5 of them are at a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
And there's there's a Washington, Texas, Illinois, Nevada, and those are the only ones that aren't at Buffalo Wild Wings.
But can you think of a worse location to try to hold?
Nope.
a tournament like this?
I don't think
well,
so.
why do you say that, though? Because,
think-
Buffalo Wild Wings is like the place to go watch a football game and drink beer and eat wings. Like, why not try to bring video games to that?
That's my thing. I think it's a great place if
think
it's
it's a good idea.
specifically happening for the esports event. But if they're staying open to the public during the NBA and
Right.
NHL playoffs, that's dumb. I think
Yeah,
Buffalo Wild
that's
Wings is a perfect place to have it if it's scheduled for that event.
Yeah.
Okay,
Nika,
but
think about it this way. You play Gwent, right? I assume you have to concentrate while you're playing. Imagine all the ruckus of Buffalo Wild Wings going on all around you.
A huge
Wait
ruckus.
staff coming up and
that's
coming
true.
up and
That would be
interrupting you, or someone looking over and being like, "Oh, what are you playing?" and coming over and now asking you questions about it.
Yeah.
You're a nerd. You're coming here to play
that. Would be really difficult.
This harkens back to a story that happened a few years ago when Buffalo Wild Wings partnered up with League of Legends to show the playoffs, and people actually went there to watch the playoffs, and the wait staff had no idea what they were talking about. They're like, "We just want you to turn one TV to League of Legends." It turned into this big fiasco where they had to go and get like the manager. They had to explain to the manager what was going on. They finally turned it to him, and then the wait staff starts like making fun of them and accosting them and stuff like that.
Can you imagine?
How horrible.
Can you imagine? I mean, you're there. You have to. First of all, you have to be there for a tournament. This is somewhere that you would never ever be otherwise, right? Like, these are the people have to go there to participate in it, and it's not like they're taking the feed from these people's games and putting them somewhere where people can watch them. It's not an exhibition.
This is just to play the game, just to qualify for a tournament.
Exactly. All of the people that are going to be at the Buffalo Wild Wings for the restaurant are going to be there to watch either the NBA or the NFL or the NHL playoffs.
And are going to be drunk as hell.
Exactly. And between some fucking waitress coming up to you, do you want more blue cheese sticks? Or, some drunk frat guy, oh, what are you doing, faggot? Like, like, can you imagine trying to compete in an environment like that? Like,
and this is to go into a tournament where you're trying to win $250,000.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, dude, if someone came up to me like over my shoulder when I was under that kind of like pressure, dude, I'd probably fucking deck them. You know what I mean?
On top of shoddy internet and like disconnections and
oh
stuff
my
like
God,
that?
dude, yeah. I mean, like, think of like when you're dealing with shoddy internet at home. I mean, fuck, dude, I get so fucking angry when I'm dealing with like my own home connection. And imagine sitting somewhere else that you don't want to fucking be in the first place. Yeah. That you have to be now to remain competitive in a tournament that can be participated literally anywhere. Like, you don't have to be at a Buffalo Wild Wings to participate in a fucking game of Hearthstone.
Yeah, the only like thing, because it did say that Blizzard is like working very closely with these venues. So unless they plan on sectioning off an area with like velvet rope and stuff so they can't be interrupted, like, this is just the worst decision.
And then that just makes it even worse because you're just making more of a spectacle out of it. And unless you're going to give people something like a match to watch, then that just becomes goddamn pointless. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I feel really bad for these people that have to go in and try to compete in these environments because they don't have a crowd behind them, right? Like, at least in other places where you're going and competing in a tournament, you've got people who are cheering you on or rooting for you. You're going into what is ostensibly a hostile environment, an otherwise hostile environment. You've got to continue to perform. No one's watching you. No one gives a shit. Everyone's paying attention to whatever else is going on in the fucking world, and here you have to perform to be able to try to make your money and stay competitive.
Have they made any comments that specifically stating whether or not they would close down the restaurant to be only for people who want to come watch?
No, they specifically said they're going to stay open to the public.
It's during the NHL and NBA playoffs. Of course, they're not going to close down.
But like,
good point.
How does
just for that one couple days? I don't know.
How the fuck does Blizzard let something like this happen? I understand. Look, I am starting to understand some of the criticisms that we've been hearing in the esports world about the way that Blizzard is coming in and trying to do things like their Overwatch League and the way that they try to do competitive tournaments because their partnerships don't make any sense.
Okay, hold on. The people who are doing the Overwatch League and the people who are setting up this Hearthstone stuff, two completely different teams, okay?
I'm just saying it all comes down to the deals that Blizzard and Activision broker for sponsorship. That's not a different company. Though I guarantee you that's probably run largely in the same department over at Blizzard and Activision.
Because I can see both sides of the Overwatch debacle.
No, this is a huge corporate partnership, though. This is a huge corporate partnership with Blizzard and Buffalo Wild Wings. No one who is involved on an exhibition level or tournament level or a competitive level looks at this and says, this is a good partnership, this is a good idea. This is only someone who is astute and removed from the community and someone who looks at the corporate sponsorship opportunities and the bottom line money coming in and goes, this is a smart idea, this is a good partnership. And then you end up with shitty debacles like this. That is, I think, what is at the center of the criticism of the way that Blizzard is organizing their tournaments and the overall the big picture partnerships that they've been brokering with either places like the NFL or whatever other sponsorship opportunities they've been brokering. I'm starting to see the root of the criticism. There is a pre-existing esports community. There are pre-existing organizations that have started with no money and have built themselves up into very respectable and competitive organizations organically. And they're getting tossed aside for a place like Buffalo Wild Wings?
No, see,
Get the fuck out of here.
Stop. Now, while I understand where you're drawing connections, and there are some similarities to the debacle that's going on with Overwatch and with Hearthstone, I think that there are some parallels here that you're drawing that aren't fair. The Hearthstone thing is, you're right, absolute garbage through and through, okay? But I don't see any other, anyone else being affected. Like, trying to draw parallels with the Hearthstone Buffalo Wild Wings thing to people like Team Solo Mid, being upset that they haven't been talked to about the Overwatch League. Like, how do you draw that parallel?
Because I can see the frustration, especially when you have Blizzard approaching people like traditional sports teams to be able to start up their league, as opposed to Team Solo Mid or as opposed to Cloud9 that may have already been starting to form teams along those lines or to be competitive in that league or in that space, and they're like, oh, well, we're just going to get passed up for the Miami Heat. Well, I guess we should go fuck ourselves then.
Oh my God, this discussion is too big to have during the news.
I mean, am I wrong?
No, actually, yes. In some instances, you are wrong, okay? So, all right, just really quick, some of the things that I was saying to Chris before we even started the show. Look,
the traditional sports organizations have none of the community interaction. They've got none of the draw. They, in fact, have more to gain from us as gamers becoming invested in their brand or their product. And I mean, they have none of the organic support. They've got none of that. They're stepping into an arena where they're as clueless as
but they have
anyone coming
money
from outside. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, good.
So hold on. Let me give you this. Your Team Solo Mid, okay? You hear that some other team is going to spend $20 million for a franchise. All right, Team Solo Mid can't afford $20 million, right? But had I came to you first and you buy and you buy in for $2 million,
they priced them out, man. They're pricing them out.
If you buy in at $2 million as Team Solo Mid, are the Miami Dolphins then going to buy in for $20 million? Not when these other teams have came in for $2 million. You court the big dogs first to get, you're right, a bunch of new blood, and then afterwards, when you know you have the money to support what you're going for, then you go to your other traditional esports. You say, we have the money to back this all up, and now we want you to come in. You're right, they haven't gone to them yet, but they also haven't straight up said, nah, we don't want you.
Yeah, well, these traditional esports organizations that have been putting together competitive teams for Overwatch are suddenly going to see themselves priced out of the ability to even form a team, and then they're going to they're going to have their talent sniped out from underneath them because they have no competitive edge. They have they can't even get into the fucking tournaments if they're priced out.
These are league tournaments. This doesn't say anything to do about like the Overwatch World Cup or the Apex Challenge. Those things are still going to exist outside.
Yeah. So that's basically a farm team and a B team. You're playing for way less of a pot. You're playing for way less of a prize. Where do you think the talent is going to pool? They're going to pool with the $2 million organization that's formed organically through gamer support over 10, 15, 20 years? Or, they're going to go to the fucking Dolphins. Great.
Well,
woohoo.
I think there's still a lot to be seen is the point. I mean, the fact...
I mean, if you're Team Solo Mid, you don't understand how they have a fucking chip on their shoulder because of this?
You're right. I do understand, but I also think it says something that before any discussions have even started, when there's still just rumors, you're willing to drop your team? How much were you really dedicated to the sport then? Because someone who puts in $20 million, they're dedicated to it.
No, they have a way bigger, deeper pocket than...
But they're still willing to buy into it more than someone who's like, oh, you didn't talk to us first, then we're not playing your game.
They're just... See, the thing is that they can easily... As easily as they can drop that $20 million investment, they can walk away from it too. The Miami Dolphins are not backing the future of the organization on the success of esports. They're just trying to get in with a demographic that they don't have an in with.
Okay, but they're also not going to walk away from it.
Okay, but TSM, right? Like TSM, their team starts doing poorly. They start losing tournaments. They don't end up making pots back. They fold because where is their money coming from?
You're right. If they put in $20 million, but I don't think Blizzard's going to make that ask of them.
Mostly because they don't have it. They don't have the $20 million to plop down, which means that they could ostensibly be priced out of even being competitive.
That's only if they can fill their league elsewhere. And that's the question, is can you?
Yeah, I think you put the big dogs first.
Dude, it sounds like Blizzard thinks that they can.
Blizzard thinks so, but a lot of the market suggests otherwise.
And you had mentioned that on Checkpoint, Callie, that report does not seem as strong as it did, and seems laughable at this point. But Robbie, I understand what you're saying. I just disagree. I think that I think that the criticism that Overwatch is not, and Blizzard is specifically not doing enough to organically reach out and use the community and the infrastructure that has been growing in an organic way, that they're going to do so to their detriment, and they're going to have a harder time muscling people over. As popular as the game is, they're going to have a harder time muscling people over as a fan of the sport and as a fan of the league if they keep making decisions like this, and especially if their decision making is if their partnership with B-Dubs is an indication of their decision making, or the way that they're trying to parse out their sponsorships or their deals, I don't think that bodes very well.
I don't take it too seriously because of its 5 tournaments for Hearthstone, which I don't think is it's of their esports. It would be their...
It's still, I mean, that's still fairly considerable money. Maybe not competitive Hearthstone, but
sure,
there's still an audience around it.
I just don't think it's.
It's definitely, it doesn't have the push like Overwatch.
Yeah,
I mean that's obvious.
If I start hearing things like we're gonna host our Overwatch World Cup with B-Dubs, that would be concerning.
But you understand though, I'm just saying take their, this is a smaller franchise,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
This is where they could actually be making more decisions that are, more rooted in the community, because they have less of an overhead to try to, they have less at stake with a Hearthstone tournament than they would as Overwatch. And again, I just think that this is indicative of their decision making, that they're going to try to go for big corporate visible partnerships every single time. I don't think that that's necessarily going to work out for them, especially when it comes to Overwatch. That's where I'm bridging that logic.
And I do see that, and you're right. There is still a lot of this story that there's a lot of directions that it could go. That's why I think we need to wait a little bit longer. They did actually release a statement concerning all of the Overwatch stuff, and they said that they are not counting out endemic esports organizations, that they do still plan on bringing them into the fold too. So time will tell.
If they can afford it. I mean, again, it's like what happens in a neighborhood when you have a whole bunch of hipsters move in and fix up a neighborhood. Everything, the people who have been living there for 20, 30 years get priced out of the neighborhood because suddenly all of the convenience stores or all of the surrounding infrastructure that they used to use to be able to get by is starting to raise their prices.
This just in, Buffalo Wild Wings announces partnership with Whole Foods.
Yes, it's
okay, South Park.
Esports is taking another step towards becoming a legitimized sport, at least in France anyway. The French government has passed legislation regulating contracts for esports athletes this week. The laws mandate an esports contract can be no longer than 5 years and no shorter than 12 months. They also bar competitors under 12 from participating in monetized events. The laws mark the first time a Western government has moved to regulate esports as they would traditional sports.
I think this is all probably a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, we've said for a long time that there needs to be more protections built in for the players. This is a first step towards that.
And plus, the government is actually recognizing that esports is a thing and needs regulation, which
that's true.
Legitimizes everything.
Well, and it's something we've identified as a problem with esports being run by so many different companies. How do you ever get any kind of unified set of rules? And I think this is one way you can do it, is if the government for your country mandates what your esports contracts can look like.
At least in a broad stroke fashion.
Yeah. They don't have to get specific, but to be able to say, hey, an esports contract is binding for 12 months. That means if I go into a team and I get off to a slow start, I'm not being cut 3 weeks into my performance.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that is a big thing. Now, we have seen things like this in the past on the other side of the world. We have the KESPA League, or the KESPA organization over in Korea, and what that does is that is a much broader program. They do everything from running tournaments. They handle like when they had the
match fixing.
The match fixing thing. KESPA was the ones who would lay down the law on that. That's part of their oversight, is to handle that sort of thing. So we've seen this already over on the other side of the world, but we've never seen any kind of government even recognize esports outside the United States. Does grant athletic visas for players to travel. We do have that, but this is the first time that the French government now is trying to legislate what a esports contract can look like and build some protections into those athletes.
Yeah, exactly. You can't have someone who signs on for ostensibly what they think is going to be several years and then dump them after a month. There does have to be protections that are built in, because the athletes are the ones that are really at risk if they don't know how to navigate contracts or if they don't have very good legal representation. And as we've seen, they've limited the age for participation at 12, and so we see that this goes to even a very, 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 very young age. We've known that young kids compete in esports, and that's pretty pretty normal. But even setting that even setting that limit at 12
is really young.
It's really fucking young.
It is, but when you think about like on that gamers show, there's a 14-year-old on there.
There is, yeah.
That's also a 6-month contract they're competing for.
And I mean, even thinking about it, just getting into gaming in general, though, my sister started FF11 when she was 12, and I could have easily seen like kids nowadays getting into other online games when they're 12. It doesn't seem that out of the reach.
Yeah, but they're competing in esports.
No. Yeah, competing and getting pots of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars.
I assume, it's all it has to have parents permission, all that yada yada legal stuff, right? Yeah. I would assume
probably, but I think it's still a big step then for the French government to just say no. If you're under 12, you can't compete in a monetized tournament.
I mean, it does. You're right. It does end up butting up against things like child labor laws, and you would have to get things like parent approval and stuff like that. But I mean, there are scenarios where, hell, let's say a kid doesn't even get along with his parents, and now you as an organization are going to come in and provide him financial support, and there's got to be protections that are built in for that kid, even if it's something as simple as, okay, you're signed on for a contract, your minimum duration is a year, right? Like there are tons of ways to be able to prey on someone who is 13, 14, 15 years old, especially if they don't have good counsel in their lives, and who knows what the personal situations of any of these folks are, and so these very basic bare bones protections have got to be there.
So I think my question is do you want to see the United States adopt something like what France is doing, where it's very broad and very basic, or something more like KESPA, which is judge, jury, and executioner for the whole.
No. I'm sorry. Have you seen our government recently? I don't want them touching anything.
Here's
fair point.
Here's my take on it. Is I think that North America should look at this and go, okay, if this is what's going to be happening, with esports on a big level, we like the ESRB, we should get out ahead of this.
Yes.
And we should be proactive about this, and either work with organizations like ESIC or come up with their own regulations and come out ahead of it instead of having it be imposed on them by some kind of government agency, because that rarely works out very well.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked okay for KESPA, but there's of course problems with it. I agree with you. I think and they could pretty much use the same threat, like, you guys either figure this out or we will figure it out. I mean, and it's completely up to you.
It's so quaint to imagine a government or a government body going, well, you fucking figure it out before we get involved. Like, it seems like anymore when the conversation is raised, there's already a preconceived notion or a pre-decided outcome that's going to happen.
About video games.
You know what I mean? Like, it's less about like this is a genuine problem that needs to be addressed, and more like, okay, this is the chess piece that that we need to move into place to be able to add this pork barrel clause or whatever. Like, it's all so cynical at this point that the notion of the Senate going to the video games industry and going, well, you fucking figure it out, is just cute. It's like, it's adorable. Because problems don't happen like that anymore.
No, it's like, there's a problem. Guess what? We're fixing it.
Yeah, and now it's
fixing it.
Now it's to the point where lobbyists are involved, and they're part of big business, and it's
Blizzard, Activision.
It's a whole industry unto itself. I mean, like,
how can big business take over the esports industry? Now we get 10% of all the contracts that you sign, or just let's do it ourselves.
I don't think that's how it works, but
no, but government regulation is, while it's not the worst thing, like,
government taxes on esports contracts. Come on,
I'd rather see a union or some kind of body that has been established outside of the call for government action, that is proactive within the industry, that says, we do recognize that there's a lot of investment here. We recognize that we want to take care of our players, and we're going to come together and form a decision on how that's done. I think that that's the responsible thing to do, especially in the face of this. Any more of these, France, putting that out there, I think is a pretty big deal. Mm-hmm. But you get very many more countries that follow suit, and you know what? There is going to be pressure to do that over here.
And I think, like, if they took it the same approach that France has taken with it, we're just saying, like, these are some bare bones protections that we're putting out there for the esports athletes, not so much for the organizations themselves, I would be very much in support of that. I think if they were to come out, especially here, and say your minimum contract is 12 months, and obviously if a player does something ridiculous, that negates the contract or whatever.
Right, yeah, well,
but you can't cut them for bad performance for 12 months. You are signing them for 12 months.
Yeah, there's obviously conduct standards that come along with any kind of contract.
Of course,
yeah.
Any kind. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you act out of turn, they should be able to terminate it under certain circumstances. Sure. But having the protection, I think that's a good idea. I would just like to see it managed independently.
Well, for more information on the news and other stories, you can message Nika and ask her about it.
There you go.
What?
Do it.
Why would you do that? That's a bad idea.
Thanks for the update, Callie. All right, I wanted to talk about this before we take off here. So there was a report that came out this week that only
that claims based on their study,
right? It's based on their Q&A study, right? That 42% of esports viewers do not play the game that they watch, and I think that this is kind of a surprising statistic.
That blows me away.
But how much did it say? 82?
42.
42.
42%.
That doesn't seem that weird.
Almost half of the people watching Counter-Strike Go don't actually play Counter-Strike Go or League of Legends.
Which is fair because Counter-Strike is pretty
well, okay. See, like you guys, at first I was surprised when I read it, but then when I actually thought about it in terms of, let's compare this to any other spectator sport or competition. I mean, that makes sense, right? In the case of traditional sports,
like
obviously,
I like hockey. I don't play hockey. I just
and say in the case of traditional sports, it's probably way higher than that.
Well,
right?
yeah. I mean, I think that Nika. I think that there is there's kind of a greater barrier to entry getting into hockey.
Yeah, you got to find
professional.
No, not even professional. Like if you just want to find a pickup hockey team, that's way harder than downloading League of Legends and installing it.
Yeah,
fair.
I mean, a basketball is one that has a very low barrier to entry. All you need is a ball and a court.
But think of it in like people who watch Let's Plays. Those are people who either love video games and love the stories or love the whatever, but are not very good at it, so they watch other people play it instead. And I kind of feel like that watching an esport can kind of go the same way. Like, I like the game, I'm not very good at it, I'm just going to watch other people be good at it, and it's entertaining.
But even if you're not great at it, you probably still play it if you're willing to watch it professionally. Or at least for me. See, here's the thing. I watch professional StarCraft and I watch professional League of Legends because I play the game and I enjoy watching it being played at the highest level. I watch Dota 2 and Counter-Strike Global Offensive because I host a radio show and I have to know about it. I don't play those games, and I would never watch those events otherwise.
I mean, I definitely have gotten enjoyment out of watching Street Fighter V tournaments, and I would never play Street Fighter. I'm so bad at fighting games. There's just no way that I can really see myself going back down that road. But yeah, like I mean, I can understand that. I just think that is a very shockingly high number.
Yeah, because I mean, like pulling the drapes back a little bit here. A few weeks ago, we had to explain to someone that we work with now, kind of like what esports were and what the appeal of them was.
And they were making Pong jokes.
Yes, they were. Coming out of that, we explained to them like one of the big appeals of esports is that everyone can play the game and they can watch it be played at the highest level. But you can always get in and play the game. And then I see this report come out, and I'm sitting like, did I just lie to this person?
Well, but at the same time, one of the strengths that we can draw from this, because I think early on one of the questions we were asked is when it comes to sportscasting events or when it comes to bringing new people in, depending on the game, you need to have a nuanced education of what's going on to really be able to follow stuff. But if almost half of the viewing population doesn't play these games, maybe it's not actually that hard to realize what's going on without having actual practical experience.
Well, that's the thing is that, look, if you played Street Fighter 2 in an arcade cabinet 15 fucking years ago, you can still have a basic idea of how Street Fighter 5 operates.
Sure,
okay?
But what if you look at a game like Overwatch or League of Legends, where the number of characters and the abilities per character is so varied and in some cases extremely nuanced?
No. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I think that's why I have a problem, because I'm not an Overwatch player.
Sure.
And when I sit down and I watch it, I feel very overwhelmed.
All you really know is
extremely overwhelmed.
Okay, that person killed that person.
Exactly.
Nate, that actually happened. There was a time I was showing you some random clips from League of Legends, and a team fight broke out, and it's chaos if you don't understand all the characters in it and what their abilities are. It's just madness to watch.
It is, and I had a similar problem with watching Team Fortress 2. I had a roommate that was really big into Team Fortress who would replay shit off of YouTube all the time, and I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, okay, that's cool, but it's sort of like when you guys will share a great Overwatch play. I'm like, that's cool. Like, I always watch them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know
but you
that
can't really comment,
right? You guys are super enthusiastic about it, and I always, in this very sort of clinical way, I'm like, what is the appeal here? You know what I mean? Like, I'm always trying to figure it out, right? But like, I
actually have more respect for you knowing that. I always assumed you ignored them.
No. Like, the thing is I haven't figured it out yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I can see like, oh, okay, like that seemed really impressive, or that seemed like a really difficult jump or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I have a general concept of why that maybe is difficult, but not the nuanced understanding of like, oh my God, like having that big reaction moment.
That's fair.
And I wonder, like, when we see a statistic like that, is that people who are, like, 42% of people aren't actively playing it but still watch, or have they never played it?
Yeah,
because
I think that's valid.
I cannot imagine being able to watch League of Legends professional play without having played it.
Or what sports does that cover? Because, again, you said something like Street Fighter. I mean, it's two people
I
fighting.
think a lot of people would watch that didn't necessarily understand all the intricacies of how the characters work.
I mean, even Counter-Strike Go, like, you know when someone dies, okay, you did good there. You know, he pops off 3 people in 3 seconds. But something like
I don't
League
know.
of
CS:GO
Legends,
is hard to follow.
No, I fucking disagree with that, Callie, so hard.
me too.
Because I mean, and maybe it is because I have at least some context for Counter-Strike because I did play it in its original build, right?
I never played the original Counter-Strike.
I did, and I had I have some context for the way that the maps are structured, and maybe that gives me enough insight to be able to appreciate it. But we were watching Counter-Strike Go last week, and I was like, I'm able to follow every bit of this.
Yeah. Huh.
Now, some of it again, and we do go out of our way to praise this a lot, but some of it has to be rested on the shoulders of the play-by-play commentary because some of it is so fucking good that you don't need the context for anything, and they will explain it all to you. They'll have the reaction built in. I think I would appreciate Overwatch more, Robbie, if I was watching it with a live crowd reaction happening at the same time.
I might start sending you a video here and there from what's his name, the guy who's coming over from Korea to do the casting. Monte Cristo.
Okay,
his videos are so superb.
But again, I think I need that hook of the crowd reaction, the crowd pop, because I may not be able to follow action, and the play-by-play might turn into verbal gobbledygook.
Oh, dude, he breaks it down so good,
but
Madden
if I can,
style and everything.
Bro, but if I can hear the crowd going and I can hear the reaction, exactly, then I think I have a way easier time being able to follow the flow and the narrative of the match. And to me,
the laugh track.
God damn, this
is why you're over 30 and an old senior gamer.
that is kind of an accurate and apt analogy. It is a little bit like having a laugh track on a show.
I don't like that analogy, but
Well, you know what? I don't think that's entirely true, because all of the Street Fighter V qualifiers I've been watching, I've not watched a single TBS. I've not made the jump from YouTube over to TBS when it goes live at 10. They have a live audience live at 10. They do not have an audience for the qualifiers earlier in that day. And I have been I've been getting so much enjoyment out of watching these qualifier stages that I watched Group B. I've went back for Group C, and now I think it was this last weekend I watched.
This week, right?
Yeah. Group D, and it's fucking phenomenal. And there is no crowd pop on that. But again,
Nate is going to great lengths to justify why he does not need the laugh track.
But
he needs it.
But again, Street Fighter is a game that I can follow. Street Fighter is a game that I have context for. So again, we're talking about 42% of esports viewers not playing the game that they enjoy watching. And I think, Joe, you had brought up a really valid point that, is this they've never played, that they're not currently playing, and then, on the other side of that, like, are they how closely are they keeping up with the tournament play? Is this that they're going home and they're watching someone play CS:GO scrimmages every day, or are they keeping up with the tournament scene? Like, what are the?
I think about it like
metrics
I have long since given up the idea that I will ever be competent at StarCraft. That's never going to happen. I can't.
Which is why I'm going to crush you.
That said, I will still watch professional StarCraft play. I'll seek it out and watch it because I think it's awesome to see being played at its highest level, even though I don't play it anymore. Do I fall in that 42% because I don't actively play it? But I still used to. I know it.
I don't know, though. Like, that's the thing. You might.
Yeah.
And if you are, I think that would explain why that percentage is so high.
Right.
I think that I think that the percentage is so high that it becomes suspect.
Yeah, well, there's so many variables too, because
Yeah.
like even in the case of first-person shooters, right? I've never played Counter-Strike, but I played a lot of first-person shooters, and I think that's why when watching it, again, I don't know the map layouts, right? So there are some things that kind of confuse me. But when 3 dudes come through the smoke and the guy you're watching gets a headshot on all 3 of them, I know that was awesome.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I can see the appeal of watching somebody play a game that you're not 100% invested in as from a first-person perspective as a player. But it does seem...
I mean, at the same time, because of the culture that we have around gaming, right? Like, if you want to watch sports, if you're a fan of football, but you decide you want to go out of your way to watch, hockey or baseball or whatever, getting that is a little bit different than sitting on Twitch and being like, I'm going to check out League. Oh, it turns out I actually like watching this, Like, as a gaming culture, every game that we would ever want to watch is right there at our fingertips on Twitch.
That's kind of a good point.
As Nika pointed out earlier, there is a subset of people, and it's probably a lot bigger than we think, that watch games that either they would they would never play. I mean, I've had a conversation with someone recently that loves watching horror games, but would
that's one of
never
my friends have
touch one themselves.
She watches all the Silent Hill games, all of those. She's like, yeah, they're just so fun to watch because the stories are interesting, but they creep me out to play them myself, so I just watch Let's Plays.
I mean, I guess that's fair. But Robbie, I think you bring up a really interesting point, is that, how do people choose what they watch? Are they choosing based on the fact that they are invested in the game or that league? Or are they just going, like you had said, going to Twitch and just consistently choosing the same game over and over again and seeing what's there?
If you're new to Twitch and you're just looking at the, those top games,
sure,
League of Legends always at the top.
I think it's far more likely to find people who are fans of one game that will continuously watch the same game over and over and over again, right? Like they will go and continuously browse the League of Legends category or the Hearthstone category, right? And if there's a tournament going, they'll watch the tournament. But if there's not, they'll watch a scrimmage match. I think that there's far less people who are fans of esports, right, who will, regardless of the game, seek out tournaments or seek out competitive matches.
But I think that's a model that you would follow from viewership in traditional sports. I think there's far more people who are a fan of football or of baseball and not just so much sports in general.
But I mean, they also have a franchise, though. They also have a franchise that they have an affinity for, right? Like no one is just a fan of football. No one. Come on. You have a team that you root for, though.
Yes, I have
exactly.
I have my team, and when they're out of it 4 weeks into the
football,
but that's what I'm
like football.
Here's what it is.
But that's what I'm saying. Like there are not as many people who are just like, I like football as a sport, and it doesn't matter who wins.
There are some people who watch League of Legends but don't watch the tournaments. They just watch people play. You don't get that in football. There's not a person who's like, I don't watch the NFL, but I go down and watch the high school team every single week.
I'm actually like that with soccer, though. I like watching soccer because it's interesting. I watch the World Cup. I watch like some matches that my in-laws have on because they always cheer for Iran. But I don't care at all. But I enjoy soccer because it's fast-paced.
Okay,
I don't have a team at all.
Right. And I think that there are those kinds of fans for esports as well. But like how marketable is that? Like how I don't think as esports or as a league you're trying to court that kind of viewership, or you're trying to court that kind of audience.
Well, I mean, like, again, if you go to the NFL, they have the NFL Red Zone, which literally just takes you around and shows you scoring plays all over the league.
Dude, is that? I feel like that's driven more by people who are like obsessively into like fantasy sports.
I'll tell you this: playing fantasy sports, Red Zone's great.
But
I can see that.
But I mean, like, how often is there someone who is a fan of football but doesn't have a favorite team or doesn't have a team that they root for?
Well, but is the question like you have to have a fan? you're a fan of football and you have a team that you root for, and you won't watch games that don't involve that team, I will watch a football game that doesn't have my team.
Well, no,
in it.
I'm just saying. Consider all of the goddamn subdivisions that are going on here in esports. You don't have that many subdivisions in traditional sports. You've got maybe an East-West conference, right? You've got the league overall, and then you've got a team, right? Nobody. Unless and again, the East-West thing is more driven by the fandom of the team,
right?
Versus like if you're a fan of the East-West League, right?
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Your team happens to be in it.
Exactly. So this is a completely fragmented structure where, let's say you want to be a fan of Cloud9, right? But they're not currently competing in something like Overwatch, right? Okay, I'm just saying there are a lot more subdivisions that I think actually end up lending itself more to people being a fan of esports in a broad way that will entertain the idea of watching a tournament that is not necessarily of the game that they follow, but that there is far more in terms of, if you're gonna put the overall audience into one of two buckets, that there is far more people whose interest in esports is driven off of a particular sport, not a particular team, or I'm sorry, a particular game, not a particular team, not a particular league, not any of these other subdivisions. That the fandom is driven more by the game as opposed to the team as it would be in traditional sports.
Well, I'll say this: if you are driven by the game itself, then I refuse to believe that 42% of those people aren't playing that game.
Exactly,
you have to be playing
exactly that. And again, we go back to the statistic feeling very suspect.
Yeah,
I agree.
I also think this is because it's not so mainstream. I mean, now if colleges are starting to get esports teams, countries are even regulating esports, it's not going to be long before at least a couple big colleges in your state have it, and then you're going to start rooting for U of M's esports team, and that's the one you're going to root for.
Nika, you're totally right.
True, because there's a statistic that said the amount of people who view esports from last year to this year, or 2015, 2016, more than doubled.
Yeah, no, Nika, I think that you're absolutely right.
It just needs time to get to that point.
Well, yeah, some kind of regional system, whether it's through colleges or whether it's Blizzard's trying to do with Overwatch, but that some kind of regional system will end up shaking out for some game in esports, and then yes, you will start to see fandom that's driven more by the region and less by the game.
I think, and some of it'll be that way too. Like, I'm sure that if I heard that like the top League of Legends team that was about to go up against somebody was all from like Washington DC, I might be interested just because they're right next door. Like that might get me to tune in. It just needs to kind of start to have that focus, and right now it doesn't seem to have.
Well, Nika, do I have good news for you?
Oh yeah.
Well, no, because Washington DC is the very first city in the United States that's made an official investment into esports.
Yeah, I heard
NRG Esports.
Yeah, exactly. So
they actually want to make themselves the capital.
I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Exactly. So you'll definitely, if it's going to spring up anywhere, I think, Nika, it's either going to be in DC around you, or it's going to be in Vegas.
Yep. Okay, well, it can't be in Washington, D.C., because D.C. is already the capital of one thing. It can't be the capital of two things.
That's the rule.
Yeah.
Okay, Vegas is like the capital of sin, though. So
it is Sin City.
It's not. It's Sin City. It's not.
But
Sin
it's not
capital.
the capital. It's not the capital of Las Vegas or the capital of Nevada either.
Look forward to Sid Meier's Sin Capital coming out this year.
All right, I think that's going to do it for today's discussion. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here on Final Encountercast. FinalEncountercast.com is the website. If you want to join us live, if you're just catching the very end of the show, we start the show at 1 p.m. here at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. So hit that follow button. Join us every Sunday. We're live every Sunday. If you are tuning in for Limit Break Radio, that's coming up at 4 p.m. today. If you're listening on the podcast, that'll come out tomorrow on Tuesday over at limitbreakradio.com. But again, thank you guys for joining us. And if you'd like to support the show, that's done over at patreon.com/limitbreakradio. That's going to be it for today. Again, guys, check out checkpointradio.com. Subscribe to the podcast over there. It's our brand new show, a national radio show distributed by Westwood One. We would appreciate your help getting that thing off the ground. Leave comments, reviews, Give us a star review on iTunes. Do whatever. Just let people know that we're here and that they can find us on their radio as well as a podcast. All right, I want to thank everyone in the crew. Skuro, who's going to be cutting this up for YouTube here in a second. Kooky, who has been hanging out, providing links in the chat room and answering all of the 0 calls that we had today. Woo! And I want to thank, of course, my co-hosts, Callie, Nika, Chris, Robbie. My name's Nate. Have a good one. Final Encountercast is a production of finalencountercast.com, Limit Break Radio, and Bender Media Productions. Today's episode was produced by Kooky Persona. This show is made possible by the generous Patreon donors of the podcast Limit Break Radio. Opening music provided by Keyboard Kid. More info and music can be found at keyboardkid206.bandcamp.com. Closing music provided by Sobsy. For more, visit sobsy.bandcamp.com. Final Encountercast and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.